but Ojwang. Just until that glorious morning of the ashes, when the trumpet shall blow, may the Almighty God grant you rest in eternity, and may He comfort the mourning family and to the teaching fraternity across the country. Today, we are going to look at, this is business studies. Money and banking, that is money and banking. Money and banking. Specific objectives of the lesson today. One is that by the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to define the terms money and banking. And number two, should be able to write short notes on systems, forms of trade and their features. And then three, explain the functions, characteristics of money, and maybe by extension be able to differentiate between commercial banks and the central bank. By introduction, money. What is money? Money. So, by definition, money is a legal tender. A legal tender. Now, what is a legal tender? If money, you've been told to write short notes of money. Money is a legal tender. And what is a legal tender? So a legal tender is anything that is generally acceptable as a medium of exchange. Money is a legal tender, and therefore a legal tender is anything that's generally acceptable as a medium of exchange. That is money. So on every currency, the note, you will see, and just beside the signatures, there are writings that it's a legal tender. So a legal tender is anything that is generally acceptable as a medium of exchange. That is money. Then before we can look at the systems, I want us to look at banking. So the word banking, that is a verb that is derived from the noun a bank. So what is a bank? So a bank is an institution where all activities involving money in terms of deposits, withdrawals, credit facilities are carried out. I want you to take note of the terms. Bank. It is an institution where activities involving money in form of deposits, withdrawals, and credit facilities take place. So, in a bank, these are the only activities, these are the activities that are carried out in a bank. An institution where activities surrounding or curtailing around deposits, withdrawal, credit facilities, and also storage of valuable items like title deed, jewelry, and all these precious documents are stored. Even certificates are stored, can be stored in a bank. You can store such important, precious, valuable documents in a bank. Title deeds, logbooks, they can as well be stored in the bank. So that is banking. So banking refers to the process, the activities that are carried out in a bank. Now, so from there, I want us to look at the forms of trade. Under money and banking, I want us to look at the forms of trade. So here, I want us to look at barter and then monetary system. Barter system and then monetary system. So what is barter trade? Under money and banking, before we look at the characteristics of money, the functions of money, I want us to look at barter. What is barter trade? This involved, it is an ancient way of trade whereby goods were exchanged for other goods. Goods were exchanged for other goods. That is barter trade. Now, under barter trade system, we have got some of the features or some of the advantages whereby for barter trade system to take place, there was to be one double coincidence, whereby if I had a cock that I wanted to exchange with a goat, I needed to experience, there needed to be that double coincidence where the person who needed my cock has a goat that I needed. So if I have a cock, I need a goat, then I need to get this person who has got a goat and needs a cock. So this is what we call double coincidence. The person who has got a particular commodity needs another commodity that somebody is in possession of that particular commodity. So in this case, barter trade required the occurrence of double coincidence. Now, so under barter trade system, we have got it made the availability of different goods on the market. For example, people were farmers in those ancient days, and people used to carry on mixed cropping, mixed farming, rearing of livestock, and so on. So you find out, we found out that these people found it very easy to exchange their commodities because you get your products from the store. You come with those products to the market, or you start moving along the way looking for one who has your product. It was easier because people were farmers, people used to rear livestock, so it was very easy to find a person who is in need of the product that you want to dispose of, and in return, in exchange of what you have. So in this case, barter trade availed goods, various commodities. There was availability of commodities. It enabled people to dispose of surplus. Say, for example, you have a land producing 30 bags of maize, and your family, remember there was no room for selling. We did not have that system where people could exchange for money or services for money. So you have got a land whereby you've been able to produce 30 bags of maize, and your family can only be able to use 10 bags per year. So if your family can only be able to use 10 bags per year, so you have a surplus of 20 bags. Now in this case, you could now go and exchange this 20 bags of maize with a person who maybe has got surplus of beans in their store. So this barter trade made it promoted surplus, or it made people to dispose of their surplus. And then again, we can talk of barter trade promoted social relationship. For you to exchange a commodity with another commodity, you needed to know the person you are exchanging this commodity with. And in the process of exchanging these commodities, there was communication. So communication was the key. For you to promote this communication, there was to be that rapport and relationship between these particular two parties. Then, by the end of the business time, whereby the transaction has been done, exchange of these two commodities have been done between these two people, at the end, these people got to know one another. So through this barter trade, these two parties have been able to have that relationship, that social relationship. So this barter trade promoted social relationships. So barter trade promoted specialization. I want us to differentiate between these two words. We have got specialization, and then we have diversification. Now, to specialization means concentration or concentrating in the field, concentrating in the field where one does best, leaving the rest to supply the scale. So in this case, if you do better in production of beans, then you can concentrate on production of beans and leave the rest to produce maize, potatoes, tomatoes, onions, and so on. So you only concentrate in the line where you are good at or where you do best. So that is barter trade promoted specialization, whereby people concentrated in the fields or in the areas where they did best. So barter trade promoted specialization. Now, diversification, it is to spread one's ideas in various fields. For example, you are a farmer. You are, okay, if it is in agricultural production, you produce coffee, you produce tea, you produce cocoa, you produce maize, you produce tomatoes, you produce potatoes, you produce onions, and so on. That is, you have spread your ideas in various areas, in various fields. So, but now, barter trade did not encourage diversification, but instead, because it was a community, it promoted or it encouraged specialization, whereby people could concentrate in the fields where they did best and leave the rest to supply the scale. So barter trade promoted specialization. And then lastly, barter trade improved the standards of living. How? Production of first-hand, first-class, original, naturally produced products. For example, if it is chicken, chicken was reared under the natural systems, under the natural ways of poultry production. If it is rearing of cows, people used to rear the natives, the native breeds. Nowadays we have the the exotic breeds. So in those days where we used to have barter trade, people used to rear native local breeds. They used to produce local breeds. People used to rear local breeds. Then, as a result, this particular products made people to the farmers or those people who used to carry out production, they used to exchange these products for better ones, or they used them for their own family or home use. As a result, they improved their health. When health is improved, that improves standards of living. So barter trade improved the standards of living. If we can look at the limitations or shortcomings of barter trade, So limitations or shortcomings of barter trade. One, we have it required double coincidence, which was difficult to get a person who has got the product you want and is in need of the product you are possessing. So the factor of double coincidence was a problem. It was a challenge. The factor of double coincidence was a problem or was a challenge because it was not easy to move around, find a person who needs the cock you want to dispose of, and he is in possession of the goat that you are in need of. So in this case, that factor of double coincidence was a great challenge to those people who used to take part in barter trade. Another one, it lacked a standard measure of value. Now, how could you measure a cow now that we did not have money those days? Could you measure a goat? How could you measure that this cow is equivalent to 10 goats, the cow is equivalent to 5 goats? Nowadays we have got monetary way of valuation. But those days it was just a product versus a product, a commodity against a commodity. Now, it was very difficult to know the value of a particular product. For example, a sack of beans, currently, the price of a sack of beans is higher compared to the price of a sack of maize, both 90 kilograms. So, now, right now, we look at monetary valuation. That, for example, a sack of beans costing 12,000 shillings, a sack of maize of the same measure of 90 kgs, costing 6,000. So you see 12,000 vis-a-vis 6,000. So those days, barter trade lacked a standard measure of value. It was not easy to know what is the measure of this particular sack of maize in relation to oro, if it is supposed to be exchanged against this particular grain oro cereal. Transport problem. Now, barter trade had a transport problem whereby the transport, the person who had a particular product was to move around, move with that product, get out of your home, get it out of the store, move along the road looking for this particular person who has got the product, the commodity you want, and is in need of the commodity you have. So moving with this product for a distance from one place to the other was a problem. So transport problem transport was a problem. Then we can also say perishability problem. You could not know there are some products that could not be kept for longer. For example, perishable goods like fishes. We have got those flowers. We have got those perishable goods like fruits. They could not stay longer without going bad. So perishability problem, the goods could perish before they are exchanged. They could not stay longer. Now, we had looked at money. That's all about barter trade. We had looked at money. Now we can look at characteristics of money. After barter trade, we can now look at characteristics of money. So as we had said, that money is a medium of exchange. We had said that money is a legal tender, and a legal tender is a medium of exchange. Anything that is generally acceptable as a medium of exchange, that is money. So by definition, to those candidates who are viewing us and those teachers at home there or across the country where you are viewing, if a question asks that, write short notes on money. One, define money. Money is a legal tender. Move a step further and say a legal tender is anything that is generally acceptable as a medium of exchange. Next, we look at characteristics of money. Now, characteristic number one. Money, we have got the characteristic of acceptability. 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 So money is anything that is generally acceptable. So money must be generally acceptable by everybody to be used as a medium of exchange. So anything that is generally acceptable as a medium of exchange. Then divisibility. Divisibility. So divisibility here, money should be anything, being a medium of exchange, should be anything that can be divided into smaller units. So if you find money that is not able to be divided into smaller units, that lacks the quality of a legal tender. So in this case, we have got the note of 1,000. This 1,000, if it is divided into the notes of 500, we have got two 500 notes in 1,000. This 500 can be divided into 200 and 100 notes. Then we have those 100. Then we have 50. Then we have 40. We have a 40 shilling coin. We have a 40 shilling coin. It's still part of our currency. Then we have from 40, we have 20, we have 10, we have 5, and then we have 1. So, money, the characteristic of divisibility. Money should be divided into smaller up to the smallest unit. So we have got 1,000, 500, 200, 100, 50, 40, 20, 10, 5, finally 1. So divisibility. And then another characteristic of money is portability. Portability. Now, portability means money should be convenient to be carried around. You know, you can even carry 1 million in your pockets and move around, and nobody will realize, unless if you are you behave like a suspect. But you can carry a million. I can carry 2 million in this court, and nobody will notice because I will not look like a suspect. That you know, carrying something that you have stolen, you will always suspect yourself, and people will easily notice that you are somebody who should be a guest at the DCI or should be picked by the Subaru boys. Now, so in this case, portability means the characteristic or a feature that whereby money should be convenient to be carried around. You know, there is a particular country here in Africa whereby at the end of the month, those people are employed by the government, the civil servants. They usually move around with a sack or a wheelbarrow to go and collect their salary from the bank. In that country, everybody is a millionaire, but poor millionaires, because money is printed in highest currencies. You find out that you have, if you have 100,000 notes, a 100,000 note, in that country you can be able to use this 100 note to buy maybe, I don't know, is it a hen? I think it's a hen. Yeah, a hen. So you find out that money is not, in that particular country, when the money is in large sums, it's not convenient to be carried around. Because if you can go to collect your salary on a wheelbarrow, then that means that that particular currency lacks the feature of portability. It lacks the feature of portability. Yeah, every country, look at, in Kenya, our currency is identified in shillings. That is East Africa. We have got US dollars. We have got the sterling pounds. We have got the dinar of the Arab countries, whereby they are the richest. A dinar is the highest currency. Currently, maybe it could be exchanging at 1 dinar, 1 Kuwait dinar could be exchanging at close to 400 Kenya shillings. Yeah, close to 400 Kenya shillings. So you see, if I can carry 100,000 Kuwait dinar, that's a lot of Kenya shillings in large sums. So you find out that there are some countries, their currency, it's not convenient to be carried around. It lacks the feature of portability. So money should be portable. And then another characteristic, money should be scarce. Not everybody should own money. Yeah, if everybody should own money, then why do we go to school? Why should we have education? Why should we have these services that we are offering? So money should be scarce, should be limited in supply. Yes, that is scarcity, that characteristic, scarcity. Scarcity. Money should be scarce. Scarce. So scarcity, and then homogeneity. Homogeneity. Homo from uniform. Homo. Homogeneity. So money should be uniform. For example, if you have got the 1,000 notes, if we can compare 10,000 notes being in hands of 10 different people, each holding 1,000 shillings note, they should be the same. They should not look different. One should not be blue, another one white, another one yellow. They should be of different texture. They should be of different value. They should be of the same texture, the same value, the same color, the same narrations, the same governor's signature, the same member's signature on that note. So every note, every currency, if it is 10 shillings, we have got 10 people with the 10 shillings coins each, all the 10 shillings coins must be the same, must look uniform. So money should be uniform, that is homogeneity. You should not have a 1,000 shilling note that is 20 centimeter. Somebody else has got another note of 1,000 that is 10 centimeter long. Another one has got the same 1,000 shillings note that is 30 centimeter. It should not be that way. So it should be uniform. Homogeneity means uniformity. So money should be uniform. And then from there, from the characteristics of money, we can now look at functions of money. Functions of money. We have looked at features of money. Now look at functions of money. Remember, we are looking at topic, that is chapter 2 in book 4, chapter 3 in book 4, money and banking. Functions of money. So, functions of money, 1, it is a medium of exchange. So, medium of exchange means it is used to, for the payment of goods and services. You can go to the shop, request for a product, and then be given that particular. If you can go to the shop, you request for a particular product, and then you'll be given the product, you pay the money. So it is a medium of exchange. It's a medium of exchange. Yes. Then number 2, you can say money is a measure of value. So money is used to measure the value of goods in question. For example, if we can quantify this book, if we can quantify this book here, how much is this book in the bookshop? Market price, it's 700 shillings. Business Studies Book 4, KLB, latest edition, that is 700 shillings. So that is the value. So money is a measure of value. Money is a measure of value. Then we can look at, also look at another function of money. It is a store of value. Money is a store of value. So you can say money is a store of value. Money is a store of value. Yes. Money is a store of value. Whereby money is used to identify, to store your wealth in form of value. The net worth. Net worth. Net worth of a person is identified in form of value. Net worth of a person is can be identified. You usually see when people are always interviewed to see how fit they are for a particular task. You find out that somebody is always asked, can you tell us what is your net worth? Yes, those people are viewing us at home. What is your net worth at home there? If you are asked, how much do you own? What do you claim to be having while alive? What is your net worth? So that is, you put it in form of money. My net worth is 200 million. For example, somebody can say, my net worth is 200 million. I remember the Prime Cabinet Secretary told us that his net worth is 4 billion. There is somebody else, another Cabinet Secretary who said that his net worth is 600 million. Another one said 2 billion. Another one 3 billion. So that is, money is used to measure the value. You can quantify your wealth in terms of monetary valuation. So money is a measure of value. Money is a measure of value. And then you can say it is a standard deferred payment. It's used as a standard deferred payment. For example, if I can take a product today and then I defer the payments to a later date, the payments will be cleared in form of money. So money is used to clear. So money is a store of wealth. You can store your wealth in form of money. You can store your wealth in form of money. Money is a store of wealth. Money is a store of wealth. Another characteristic of money here, we have said that it's a medium of exchange. We have said that it's a store of value. We have said it's a measure of value. We have said it's a standard deferred payment. Money is a standard deferred payment. Yes, money is a standard deferred payment. So that is about money. We have looked at the characteristics of money. We have looked at the functions of money. And then we have looked at money and banking. Now, I want us to just shortly to look at banking. That is, I want us to look at which bank is responsible for the reception of taxes or receiving taxes for the government. So, we have got two types of banks in every sector of economy, in any country, or here in Kenya. We have got the what we call CBK, that is central bank, and then we have got commercial banks. So central bank of a country. What is a central bank of a country? So a central bank, it is a bank that receives deposits in form of taxes on behalf of the government. It is a bank that regulates the currency of a particular country. It is a bank that controls inflation of a particular country. That's the central bank. And this central bank, for example, in Kenya, it is headed by a governor who is a presidential appointee. So here, the central bank, the two types of banks I want us to look at further today and maybe in the next subtopic to clear the area. A central bank of a country, this is a bank that takes care of the finances of that particular government. So that is the central bank. Now in Kenya, a central bank is headed by a governor. It is headed by a governor, and then the governor is a presidential appointee, the governor of the central bank. Let us look at some of the functions of the central bank. One function of the central bank, it is the government's bank. Government's bank means it receives deposits in form of taxes. It receives deposits in form of taxes on behalf of the government. So now that is the revenue collection. It is kept or deposited in the central bank. All the revenue collection deposited in the central bank. Function number two of the central bank, it is the commercial bank's bank. We have said function number one, it is the government's bank, whereby it receives deposits in form of taxes on behalf of the government. Under the government's bank, it regulates inflation of that particular country. We will look at inflation as a topic next. Another function still under government's bank, the central bank is charged with the responsibility of issuing new currency. For example, it is the central bank that issued the newest currency of notes, the notes that we are using right now. It was issued by the central bank. And then under function number 2, we had said that it is the government's, it is the commercial banks bank. Commercial banks bank means 1, it keeps deposits on behalf of all commercial banks across the country. 2, it is a lender of the last resort. Commercial banks obtains or gets loans from the central bank. That is why we say central bank, it is commercial banks bank. So I think next time when we meet, we are going to look at the monetary policy and how the central bank controls other banks or controls inflation of the country. That will be our next topic. Then we are going to finish with the current trends in banking. It has been a pleasure to take you through today's lesson, that is business studies, Form 4. It has been my pleasure. It has been good. Until we meet next time, I just want to give you an advice that as I exit this precious stage, that the future belongs to those people who believe in the beauty of their dream. To the student, the candidate who is preparing for KCSE, do you believe in the beauty of your dream? To the teachers who are preparing candidates, do you believe in the beauty of your dream? I rest my case.